right, and with that, we have Muthoni Kanyana herself, the CEO, MK Africa.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Muthoni is actually appreciating the fact that we give a good coverage. You're welcome, Muthoni. Now, just to jump right into it, only 45% of the youth know of SDGs. Can we just start with that? For the benefit of our viewers, maybe you can start by telling us what SDGs are.
Okay, so the SDGs are the Sustainable Development Goals. They were launched in November 2015 by the UN in collaboration, or, you know, they got 195 countries in the world to sign up to agree to implement the SDGs as part of their national development plans. And Kenya was one of the countries that actually signed up to do that.
Okay, so why is it worrying that only 45% of the youth are the ones who know about this? What maybe highlight for us just a bit what the Sustainable Development Goals are?
The Sustainable Development Goals aim to address the most pressing world issues facing us as a planet right now. Issues to do with climate change, issues to do with poverty of reduction, inequalities, in terms of the gap between the rich and the poor, in terms of women's rights, and such issues, basically, and particularly climate change, which I know is a key area of focus for us here in Kenya. And so what was worrying from these findings is that if our young people do not know that there are such things as the Sustainable Development Goals, and yet these goals affect them. You know, a young person in university today is averaging 21, 22 years old. So by the time we are supposed to have achieved these goals in 15, well, now 13 years, because it was 15 years in 2015.
15 years.
They will be entering, they will be already in the job market. They will be the ones who are supposed to have been in the center of the implementation of the goals, and yet they don't even know that there are such things.
So what are you doing? First of all, why don't you think they know? Is it that the activation is not there, or what? Why don't they know about this?
It's interesting. It's a number of reasons. One of the things that we found in the survey is that the sources of information for young people today is the internet.
Yes.
And yet perhaps this is not an area that has been, you know, an area that the government, for example, or has focused on in terms of trying to disseminate information about the Sustainable Development Goals. So you'll find that young people spend a lot of time on their phones, on the internet, and when they're there, they're not seeing any, the information on Sustainable Development Goals just doesn't seem to be in their networks. It doesn't seem to be coming up on Instagram, on Facebook, where they're spending a lot of their time, on Twitter even. So that could be one of the reasons why the young people don't know. And I think also looking at it from the bigger picture, it's an opportunity for the government to consider including the Sustainable Development Goals in the education curriculum. So if it's not being taught in the universities, where will people learn about Sustainable Development Goals?
To know.
Yeah.
Something else that I saw in your report that is very worrying is that only 16% of the youth know about, rather are aware of unemployment. It's a bit scary, but what are you guys doing about that from where you sit?
Now, what we do, the reason why MK Africa collaborated with TIFA Research to carry out this survey is because we run an annual competition called My Little Big Thing. It is a sustainability innovation challenge. We launched it last year, and this is the second year that we're running the competition. And what we are doing is challenging university and undergraduate university students to come up with business ideas that are centered around sustainability and, you know, have the platform of SDGs as the base of their ideas. So it's a collaboration that my company has gotten into with KPMG and University of Cambridge in South Africa.
All right.
And it's an opportunity for us to be able to promote the Sustainable Development Goals to young people. So that's the reason that we got into this, or we carried out this survey. So this gives us a very good firm foundation in terms of what are we aiming to achieve. Ultimately, aside from the competition, we would like to see the Sustainable Development Goals being included in the curriculum. We would like to lobby government to, and to work closely with the university community to see how we can be able to start teaching these goals to young people when they're still in the education system. Because once they leave the education system, then they're out here looking for money.
It's very hard to install some things in someone after they have their freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what are you expecting to see? Maybe you can just tell us your goals, because I hear we're actually even running out of time and we just got started.
Oh, okay.
So, that's what happens in interviews, by the way. You start talking
and it's getting so
exciting.
exciting.
It gets exciting and you feel like, that was a short time, but
it's an opportunity for you to call me again.
Yeah, we definitely will. Now, so what are you expecting to see?
What we'd like to see going forward is more young people. From our perspective, would like to see more young people participating in the My Little Big Thing, because it's a learning opportunity for them. You know, starting after we've released this survey, we're actually going to be going around to various campuses across the country, sharing the survey results with them and discussing the SDGs, introducing them to them so that they can be able to participate in our competition. So in the short term, we'd like to see more innovative ideas around sustainability coming up from the university students. Long term, we would like to see a situation where the government has now agreed, you know, where the SDGs have been incorporated into the curriculum at university level. And we're in talks. Yesterday we were very happy to have the Ministry of Devolution and Planning as part of our event. And I know from the conversation that we've had that they are very interested to see what more can we do, because it also surprised them that only 45% of young people.
It is a shocker.
Yes,
it's definitely a shocker. Now, say, I'm not, I don't want to speak of doom, but say we continue like this and only 45% of the youth are the ones who know about the Sustainable Development Goals. What are the cons that we are set to see in future?
I think we are heading for, doom is a good word that you've used. If you look at it, 2016 was the hottest year on record, and no year had been hotter until then. 2017, according to the findings that have just been released at the beginning of this year, was now the hottest year on record. So you can see a trend here. We are slowly consuming, we are living beyond our means, so to speak, when it comes to natural resources. And then, unfortunately, Africa is always on the brunt. We take the worst end of the stick when it comes to bearing the effects of climate change, or when it comes to inequalities, because we don't have the systems in place to be able to. I mean, if we suffered a hurricane today in Nairobi, can you imagine what would happen? We just don't have the systems in place. We're not prepared. And if our young people are not thinking along those lines, they're not thinking of how can we be able to ensure that we're doing business and we're living in a way that will sustain us for future generations, then I think doom, as you earlier mentioned, is really where we're headed. Yeah, so it's a good opportunity, I feel. This is, the survey is not supposed, it's good that it has shocked us, but it should not also, it should be an opportunity for us to start looking at the Sustainable Development Goals. And I think I like what one of our panelists said yesterday. You know, when people hear the SDGs, it's not about what can I do around the SDGs, it's what, or rather what can the SDGs do for me as an individual or as a university student, speaking from their perspective, is what can I do fitting my business into the SDGs.
Yes. You can find something that is actually lucrative there.
Exactly. So even Ebru, you know, you can, I can put the challenge to you. How can we look at our business model and fit it into the 17 sustainable goals? And it's not that difficult when you look at it. It has 169 targets, so there must be something in there that you can do to align your business to the SDGs.
She talks business, she's talking money. Please allow us to shut this down. Thank you very much. Muthoni Kanyana, who's the CEO of MK Africa.